For today's lesson, we will be solving real-world problems using decimals. And our standard is 6NS3. I can fluently add, subtract, multiply, and divide multi-digit decimals using the standard algorithm for each operation. So in our first situation here, Megan jogged 3.125 kilometers on Saturday. She jogged 4.75 kilometers on Sunday. We want to know how many kilometers did Megan jog on both days, and then we want to figure out the difference between the distances she jogged on both days. So for part A, since we're looking to see how many kilometers Megan jogged on both days, that tells us that we need to add those distances together. So we've got the 3.125 kilometers on Saturday and the 4.75 on Sunday. When adding or subtracting decimals, it is important to make sure that those decimal points are lined up, which we've done in our situation here. And we have an empty space, so we fill in any empty spaces with zeros. So we just add those together. 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 5 is 7, 1 plus 7 is 8, 3 plus 4 is 7, and then bring the decimal point down into your answer. And since it's a word problem, it is good to label. And in this situation, our label would be kilometers. Let's do some blue here. What was the difference between the distances she jogged on both days? So, well, that was supposed to be blue, but oh well, we'll stick with it. So the key word here is difference. That tells us that we're going to subtract. And when we subtract, we do want to make sure that we're starting with the larger number, and we subtract the smaller number. Once again, line up our decimal points and fill in empty spaces with zeros. Well, if I have nothing, I can't take away 5. So I borrow from the 5 to make that a 4, and the 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 4 minus 2 is 2. 7 minus 1 is 6. If I wanted to, I could put my decimal point in right now, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So it's 1.625 kilometers. Excuse me. On the first day of camp, Louise drank 3.155 liters of water. On the same day, Mary drank 2.65 liters of water. How many liters of water did Louise and Mary drink in all? Well, since it's asking us in all, that tells you that we're going to add. So we're going to take Louise's amount, which is 3.155. We're going to add that to Mary's amount, which is 2.65. Again, since we're adding, we want to make sure those decimal points are lined up, which they are, and fill in any empty spaces with zeros. 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 6 is 8. Bring your decimal point down. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 5.805 liters. For part B, we're looking at the difference between the amounts of water Louise and Mary drank. And once again, since it's asking for difference, that tells us that we need to subtract. So we start with the larger amount. We make sure our decimal points are lined up. And we fill in those empty spaces with zeros. 5 minus 0 is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. I can't do 1 minus 6, so I come borrow from the 3. 3 becomes 2. 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. Bring your decimal point down, and 2 minus 2 is 0. So our answer is 0.505 liters. Excuse me. At a supermarket, a pound of almonds costs $3.90. Aisha wants to buy 4.5 pounds of almonds. How much does she have to pay? Well, since she's paying $3.90 every time she buys a pound, and we're doing that 4.5 times, that tells you that we need to multiply. So we're going to take the cost of the almonds, and we multiply it by how much we're buying. Remember, when multiplying decimals, you do not have to line up the decimal points. You can just line them up as if they were whole numbers and do your multiplication as if they were whole numbers. So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. Start the second line with the 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 9 is 36. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. Add those together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 6 is 15. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 5 is 7. Bring down the 1. Now we need to place the decimal point in our answer. And remember, we figured that out based on counting how many digits are after the decimal point in the two numbers we're multiplying together. Well, $3.90 has 2 digits after the decimal point. 4.5 pounds has 1 digit after the decimal point, for a total of 3 digits after the decimal point. And in order to have 3 digits after the decimal point, I should put my decimal right between the 7 and the 5. Now, since the question says how much does she have to pay, we are working with money. Money goes out to the hundredths, so we should rewrite our answer as $17.50. Now, with a question like this, you could give yourself a little bit of help by doing some estimating. $3.90, that's close to $4. 4.5 pounds, well, that's between 4 and 5 pounds. So if it's $4 a pound and you bought 4 pounds, that would be $16. If it's $4 a pound and you bought 5 pounds, that's $20. So your answer should be somewhere between 16 and 20 and 17.55. Sorry, not 17.50. My mistake there. Let's fix that. Wow. Did not see that there. Glad I was staying there for a little bit. $17.55 is between 16 and 20. Okay, that's how easy it is to make a mistake. So make sure you're careful, make sure you're paying attention to detail. The cost of carpeting a square yard is $8.60. How much does it cost to carpet 9.7 square yards? It's the same situation, just different numbers. It's $8.60 a square yard. We're buying 9.7 square yards. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 8 is 56 plus 4 is 60. Start the second line with the 0. 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 8 is 72. Plus 5 is 77. Add those together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 0 is 2. 0 plus 4 is 4. 6 plus 7 is 13. And 1 plus 7 is 8. 2 digits after decimal point in 860. 1 after 9.7. For a total of 3 digits after the decimal point, which means I need to put it between the 3 and the 4. And again, since we're dealing with money, it would be $83.42. A caterer sliced 6.5 ounces of cheese into pieces that weighed 0.5 ounces each. How many pieces of cheese did the caterer slice? Well, once again, we have an item that we're breaking down into smaller equal-sized pieces. That tells us that we need to divide. Well, we start with the 6.5 ounces of cheese, and we're dividing that into the 0.5 ounce sizes. So we rewrite it. Once again, we move the decimal point to the end of our divisor, which means we move it the same number of places in our dividend. The 5/10 is now 5. The 6.5 is now 65. 5 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. Bring down the 5. And 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 minus 15 is 0. So we have 13 pieces that's been sliced into. A roll of cloth 12 meters long is cut into small pieces of the same size. Each piece is 0.75 meters long. How many small pieces of cloth can be cut from the 12-meter roll? So we're starting with the 12 meters. We're breaking it down into the 0.75 meter long pieces. So 0.75 is our divisor. 12 is our dividend. Move the decimal point to the end of your divisor. We've moved it 2 places to the right, which means we need to move our decimal point in our dividend 2 places to the right. Excuse me. Well, our dividend is a whole number. So for the whole number, you put the decimal point after the whole number. Since we're moving it 2 places, go ahead and put 2 zeros on and move that decimal point 2 places to the right. 75 hundredths is now 75. 12 is now 1,200. 75 will not go into 1. It will not go into 12, but it will go into 120. Goes into 120 one time. No, since we're going into 120, I put the 1 over the 0 because you always put that over the last digit. So I take 120 minus 75. 10 minus 5 is 5. 11 minus 7 is 4. I bring down the 0. Then I can ask myself, well, how many times would 7 go into 45? 7 goes into 45 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 6 is 42 plus 3 is 45. So we get 16 pieces. In our final example today, Rebecca buys 2.24 pounds of sliced ham to make sandwiches. She uses 0.16 of a pound for a sandwich. How many sandwiches can Rebecca make? So she has the 2.24 pounds, and we're breaking it down into 16 hundredths size pieces. So 16 hundredths is your divisor. 2 and 24 hundredths is your dividend. Move the decimal point to the end of your divisor. Move it the same number of places in your dividend. 16 hundredths is now 16. 2 and 24 hundredths is now 224. 16 goes into 22 once. 22 minus 16 is 6. Bring down the 4. 16 goes into 64. 4 times 16 is 64. 64 minus 64 is 0. And our label is sandwiches. And that is all for today's lesson. As always, I hope this helps.